All right, welcome back to the Wealth Lounge. I have here with me Miss Rhonda Lewis.
Yes.
27 years of experience. She's one of our sales managers in the Largo office, but she's also one of our senior loan originators as well. She's been doing this for quite some time. And thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
So today's topic, I think, is pretty important. I think it sums up the entire mortgage process in a whole, because this is the payment you're going to walk with, right?
Absolutely.
So how does one manage, a mortgage payment over the long term? Is our topic. All right. Now, I love when you speak about this because for a person who's renting and is paying $2,200, but calls you and says, I don't want the payment to be above $1,500, how do you respond to that particular question or statement?
So, up until about a year ago, every introduction call that I had with a client, there was always a question in there that I asked. And that question was, what is your maximum comfort level as it relates to a mortgage payment? And the reason why I asked that is because, we know that, the price of the home determines the payment is what everybody, has a mindset of. But really, we like to say, like, if you determine the payment, let us figure out the price, right? So my question would be, what is that number that makes you comfortable? And so I would get things like that. Like, well, my rent is $2,200, but maybe not down as low as $1,500, but I only want to pay $1,800. Okay. And so I would say I'm thinking $1,800, right? But then their response to me is, well, you asked me what was comfortable, right? Maybe that 22 ain't feeling so comfortable, right? And so I've changed that. To what is the maximum that you are willing to invest monthly in your home, because that's what this home purchase is, as opposed to that rent that you're paying. Okay, what is the maximum that you're willing to invest monthly? Because what I need people to start to understand is that, number one, you can't be willing to give and to provide for somebody else's financial stability and long-term wealth goals with your $2,200 a month investment into them, but you only want to give yourself $1,800. Like, that's what doesn't make sense to me. Okay? So whatever it is that you've been willing to invest in them, you should get at least that or more for you. Right. Okay? So the problem, though, in that is that people tend to limit themselves, and that comes from fear. Okay? People think that, I don't want to put myself out there. I've had folks say, well, what if I lose my job? I get out here and buy this house. What if I lose my job? Well, what if you lose your job when you're renting? If you lose your job, something has to happen. Yes. And that's true for all of us, right? Yes. But if you lose your job and you're renting, you're not going to have a whole lot of options, okay? If you lose your job and you have a mortgage, you can contact your servicer and say, hey, I lost my job. Because look, the banks don't want your house. They really don't want your house. They want your money, okay? So you have more leverage with a mortgage lender, with a servicer. When you have a mortgage, than you will if you're paying rent. Okay? And so I would love for people to start thinking about that. And the other thing is that word comfortable. So what I've changed in the way that I educate my clients is comfortable is probably where you are now, but we're looking to grow. We're looking to step out there. So we've got to go right outside. I'm not saying go so far out your comfort zone that you feel like you got a rope around your neck, but outside of our comfort zone is where growth is. And so, I'm not concerned about your comfort. I'm concerned about what is it that you feel like based on your flow of money, how your money comes in, what do you feel like you're willing to invest in your home, your future, the future of your kids, how and where you live? Like, what does that number look like for you? And then we can figure out a sales price around that.
I love the way you put that, because you take the question and then you put it back in their court. And with the intentionality behind forcing them to answer that question is forcing them to think about it the correct way. I love the way you put it, because renting is a great place to start when you are thinking about what I can manage
Absolutely.
over the long haul.
Absolutely.
And I think it's great that you figured out a way to change their perspective by just simply asking them the question in a different way. What are some common mistakes that you've noticed from individuals who have been trying to manage their payment over the long haul?
I would have to say that common mistakes is getting the house and then going out and acquiring a bunch of other bills after the house. The Home Depot account for the appliance, then when changed appliances, the furniture account, because you want to fully furnish the whole house. And people go right out, they say don't buy a car before you go to closing, so they go buy one the day after closing, okay? So now you've taken a number for your mortgage payment that you were fine with. And now you have taken that mortgage payment along with any other debts that you have from here to here. And then you can't make your mortgage payment, right? So I've actually had clients to call me, not clients, I had one, but it was enough for me that it rattled me, right?
Yeah.
Because I had a client to call me and say, I'm having a hard time making this payment, and what she said was, you put me in this mortgage and I couldn't afford it and it's too high. And she was just going, I was like, wait, okay. I was like, okay, and the first thing I did was thanked her for calling me, right? Call me and let me help to figure this out. Let's see what can be done.
The relationship.
Yes, the relationship. And so when I went in and pulled her credit to see, what was going on, what I saw was that after she bought her house, and this was probably about 2 or 3 years after, but after she bought her house, during that 2 to 3 year period, she got a loan. She got a new car. She traded in her car. She had a credit card that was new. I could see the dates, right? So you had a mortgage payment and then you created all this stuff and now your affordability has changed. So what I had to explain to her is there's nothing wrong with the mortgage payment. There's nothing wrong with the mortgage payment. You can afford the mortgage payment. You can't afford all that other stuff.
Perspective.
That you would have got. Now, fortunately for her, she had been in the house 2 to 3 years. She had equity, and we were able to refinance and pay those things off and put her back on level ground again. But That's the advantage of having a relationship with your lender. And to be able to pick up the phone. I have the same cell phone number that I've had for about the last 24 years. I've had the same cell number. So picking up the phone and just giving me a call, letting me know, hey, Rhonda, I got this going on. My clients call me all the time. Hey, my kids are getting ready to go to school. Should I pull money out of my 401k? Should I pull it out of my house? Should I refinance? Do I do a home equity? Hey, let's see. Let's see what's going to work best for you. And sometimes that doesn't mean me doing a loan, right? But it does mean me being able to provide them with the information that they need that's going to help them reach their goals.
Yeah, you're still speaking to their needs. I love that.
Absolutely.
You actually touched on my next question. My next question was, how can one begin to take advantage of their mortgage and be strategic with their mortgage? And you mentioned refinancing. And you said that she was able to pay off, some of the debts that she had accrued over the course of 3 years post-closing.
Yes.
And my question is, what are the advantages to being able to refinance, right? How many different things can you do with your mortgage once you've closed?
A lot. That's what people need to understand. How to use their mortgage as a financial tool, not just, so it's not like a car note, right? So we go get a car, we get a car loan, you can pay some extra money and pay it off early, and then you have the car that's gonna break down in about another 2 years anyway. Because I don't know what it is, but those cars always know when they get paid off, they start acting up.
I know what you mean.
But there are so many ways to use mortgage as a financial tool. You can, and again, it depends upon what the person's needs are. So here's the thing with needs and goals. They change. So you can go into this home thinking, oh, I don't have any plans on moving. I'm gonna be here. This is it. I'm gonna kick up my feet. And then, your mom gets sick, or, you got grandkids that you have to take in, and now you need more space, okay? So we help to figure out what to do with that. Do you want to sell that or keep it and rent it out and be able to get that income? Maybe you're getting closer to retirement. We can use that mortgage and use that property as a way to either pull monies out to fund your retirement, or either rent it out to provide income in retirement, or either sell it and get the money and move to something smaller in retirement. That's how that can help you to be able to move along as your goals and needs change. Maybe you have kids. So I recently talked to a client. They're in an extremely good financial position. Okay, they have well over 20% to put down. Both he and his wife's credit scores are over 780. They have very, very good income. So someone would say, well, why do they need? They can go online and just hit a button and because after talking to them and finding out what their goals were, I found out that their concern is, they don't even have any kids yet, is for our kids being able to fund their college. So they want to put as much money down on the house so that they can have the house paid off, in a certain amount of time, so that they won't have a mortgage by the time their kids go to college. Well, we talked about a lot of other things that they could do instead of doing that, as a way to fund their children's college with using that mortgage loan by paying extra money towards the mortgage payment, taking extra money that you have and investing it in other places, or being able to buy a rental property, okay? Holding that rental property until the time that your child goes to college and then selling it. 18 years, you think they'll have enough equity to be able to fund college? Absolutely. And still be able to have the benefits and all the tax write-offs and the tax benefits of that mortgage that they have on their own home. So there are so many ways to use it, but people won't know that unless you talk to folks, unless you actually talk to people and find out what it is that they're trying to do. Everybody, every single person has their own financial DNA. And it's up to me as an advisor to find out what theirs is and be able to provide options for them based on that.
You know, you've answered every single question that I've had, right? And but you've done it all through the relationship quote.
That's where it starts.
And just to catch you guys up, we did another session in the Wealth Lounge where Miss Rhonda, she touched on, you know, speaking with a lender is not just a numbers game. You're choosing a relationship that's going to help you through life financially. And I love the way that you are able to articulate how to be strategic with your mortgage payment, how not to immediately buy something or go, a car.
Give yourself a chance to settle in to that payment, because people think that when people go to closing, that they just feel all warm and fuzzy about their payment.
Yes.
That they're at closing like, ooh, that's a low payment and I won't have any problems with that. And I could just, they don't. We don't want people at closing like, oh my God, how in the world am I ever gonna pay this? Like, that should not happen. But when people go to closing on a house, they step right outside of their comfort zone and they have already determined how they're going to live and what they're going to compromise on, what they're willing to compromise on so that they could make this happen. And they're willing to do that. And so that's the point where people buy houses, not with like, oh, this is just, this payment is so warm and fuzzy. It usually is not warm and fuzzy.
Right.
It usually feels like, it shouldn't feel like, but it should feel like, okay, let me sit down. I could do that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because most people do get to closing and feel to themselves, I've conquered this entire process. I can do anything. And lo and behold, you still have a reality to maintain. So
absolutely.
I love the way you put those things into perspective. I love the way you touched on, contacting your servicer if you're in some sort of financial, hardship.
Absolutely.
That's one I don't think a lot of people know.
Yeah.
That they're able to do.
Human nature is that when we get in trouble, we run. We go run. It's just like if you're in a house and a house is burning down and people go run and hide and they burn up in that house. Instead of going to the window, asking for help, go as soon as possible. My mother always said, I can't think of her exact words, but what she always instilled in us is that you don't wait until you're already under the water to try to get some help, because you ain't gonna be able to get nobody to come down there with you and help you, because they don't want to drown with you, right?
Yes, I love it.
You ask for help when you feel yourself, when you can, because we can feel it.
Yes,
you can like,
you feel the pressure. You definitely feel it.
That's when you reach out for some help. When you feel it coming, you reach out for some help. And so that's what I would encourage people to do. And that goes with everything. Not just our mortgage payment, our lives, our health, our finances, our relationships, everything, our mental well-being. That goes with everything.
Yeah.
When you start to fill yourself go get some help at that point. Because ain't nobody trying to drown you.
I know that's right. Staying ahead of the game ensures that if you slow down a bit, you fall right to where you need to be. I love it. Thank you so much again, Ms. Rhonda, for taking some time out of your busy day, 27 years, clientele, booklet as big as my laptop. So thank you for taking some time out to share some of your nuggets and the wisdom. Please, guys, tap into this. This is great information for 27 years of experience. Again, this is the Wealth Lounge, and we will see you all next week.